Because if this land was never stolen from them and it was the other way around, and they treated us how we are treating them, and you came just to live a better life, would all react the same way. Well, look, I get what you're saying, but you have to look at how land is taken. It's not stolen, it's taken, it's conquered. And then once you conquer, you defend and you hold. Can somebody else come along and take it from you and conquer your land? They absolutely can. But what a lot of people don't understand is that we all kind of come from the same place. We've all just changed. Some of us more radical than others. Some of us more religious than others. Some of us have a different system and set of beliefs. We all come from the same place, right? So if you're into any type of Christianity or something like that, you know God gave us all this. We all own this land. But human beings have a tendency to congregate to their own kind. You have white people here, black people here, Asian people here, Hispanic people here, Indian people over here, and they all like to live in their same areas. Nobody like really melts into a community of just like an even amount of all different types of people in the same area. They all congregate to specific areas naturally, right? So if we go all the way back to the Ice Age, those were the natives that came here. Through the land bridge from Siberia into Alaska. They were an Asian type descent native that actually came from Asia over into Alaska, and then as the Ice Age kind of dwindled away and the Beringia Bridge dissolved, those natives were now the natives of this land. Those Asian natives that were like farming, forager, like hunters, they actually were here first. But in lieu of that, there was also other groups of people that lived over in Africa and Asia and stuff. And the thing is, there was a larger population of people over there, and those people eventually ended up evolving, having children with each other, mingling religions and stuff like that, and that's how things started to advance. That's how they started to colonize their own groups and own areas. They fought each other. They created their own enslavements and stuff. France had a huge amount of slaves. European industrialization and stuff like that had a huge amount of slaves, way more slaves than ever came here. And if we got into the whole African slave, black people being brought here and enslaved, Africa sold them to the Europeans. Africans enslaved their own people, but so did French people, and so did European people, so did Asian people. They all enslaved their own people, and for commodity, for good, they traded those slaves to other countries to further get ahead when it came to grain and flour and things like that. So to imply that Hispanic people had land taken from them, I would say that most people that say that don't know their history. Hispanic people weren't the same people, or the first people here. It was actually Siberian type natives that came here first, Asian type natives that came here first. With that being said, ultimately we all come from the same place anyway. We've just crossed DNA, crossed religion, crossed everything, and we've come up with groups of people that here's your Europeans, here's your Asians, here's your Africans, and furthermore, if you want to dig even deeper, we can get as far as Christianity goes all the way back to the Ethiopian Bible. Christianity is not even a white European religion. It goes all the way back. The first edition of Christianity being published comes from the Ethiopian Bible. It was a literal dark-skinned, just for instance of communication purposes, dark-skinned black religion first. It came from over there, the Middle East, the Jewish people, the Africans that all mingled with each other and stuff like that. That's the original form of Christianity that ended up getting spread. And a lot of people think, oh, it's the white people that it's the white man's this and that. No, it's not. It's not at all. The oldest versions of Christianity come from Ethiopia, the Ethiopian Bible. So when you start tying everything together that we've not been taught, that we don't understand, that we can't steal land, you can only conquer land and defend it by literal term. And then how exactly did natives back then move about each other? There were many different tribes. Some of the most dangerous ones, some people would say, were the Comanches, because once they got introduced to horseback, they furthered their war type skill they're fighting even more, to the point where Europeans and other Sioux Indians and everything else actually were scared of them, because they were so good and glamorous and warrior-like on a horse. They were so athletic and agile and knew how to move on a horse better than anybody did. They would literally kill whole groups of people, Europeans, other Indians, and they would take what they wanted. They would burn your shit down and then move on to a different area. And that's exactly how natives in general farmed. They would farm a certain type of land for so many years, and once they realized that the fruits and the vegetables and stuff like that weren't growing as much anymore, or as good as they were, their vegetation they were growing, they would move to another area. And if they actually ran into another tribe by moving from one area to another, they would kill them, or they would make them assimilate and move them into their groups, or there were no, that was it. That was the only option. You either assimilated with them and you became them, or they burned your shit down and they killed you. And then they used your land to grow stuff for, years, 4 or 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, and then they moved to a different area. But what they did was they conquered areas and then defended it, conquered another area and then defended it. And as human beings, we have this nature inside us to be warlike. And that's what we do. To advance, to become stronger, to become braver. And to be honest with you, a lot of the Indians, once they found out that there was a further advanced, industrialized rest of the world, there were medicines and there were weapons and there were these types of things that they didn't have access to, they started becoming more privy to it. They actually started selling their own people as slaves, or they would give up certain things, land, whatever it may be, different treaties and stuff that they would sign with each other. Look at the Mexican-American War, right? The Mexico actually gave the United States the property that it has, or a lot of the property that it has because it literally beat them in the war. The Treaty of Guadalupe was signed in 1848, and it was basically giving a portion of the United States to Europeans, white people, because they beat them in this war between each other. And the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed. So it's not as easy as, I'm going to go steal this from you. To steal something would mean somebody owned it to begin with, which is false, because nobody owns the land that we live on. If another nation came over here right now, another body of people, somebody came over here right now and wanted to take this from us, and they were strong enough, they would take it. They don't own it, but they can conquer it and defend it until somebody else comes along and does the same thing to them. Look at the fight that's going on in the Middle East right now. You can literally take the whole Gaza area, Israel, Palestinians, and you can take and go back years upon years upon years upon years upon years, and generations upon generations upon generations, and you can see how this empire owned it, this empire owned it, this king owned it, this group owned it, this, and you can go all the way back as far as you possibly can to the original kingdom of Israel. There was no Palestinian landmass. There's no, like people saying that this body of area over here is Palestinian, that they would say that's actually false. There's never been anything that was actually deemed Palestine. You have Palestinians as people, a group of people that intermingled and meshed with Israel, Jewish people and stuff like that. But to say an area was ever Palestine, they would say, actually, if you look into the history deep into it, that's actually false. There's no such thing as a Palestinian territory. They want it to be, but there's not. But that landmass and ownership of that whole entire area changed from so many different rulers and leaders over time. We could sit and argue this for hours. It's whoever conquers it and can defend it are the ones that have the rights to it. And that's just the law of the land. I know this was long, but I just wanted to have a longer conversation on this. And I know it was a little too much, but I hope maybe somebody gets something out of this, or it entices you to actually go research things, and you'll find out land is not stolen. It's only conquered and defended.